inside the Budokan, fending off Shinobi and my crew, or be sure to come.
What's going on, guys? It's Greg Farley from The Wise Guys, and I'm here with another deck profile slash look into the future slash look into the past. You just saw some of the numbers over the weekend of what happened at YCS Columbus, what happened in Utrecht, partly, and then what happened in some of the Latino tournaments, a lot of the tournaments that went on in Mexico, as well as Mexico City. I tried to sneak something in there. Forgive me if I didn't. It wasn't a lot of media coverage on that, as you saw by the stream that you probably watched over the weekend. But the main thing I wanted to talk about is the top 10 of the current format, seeing as we've definitely defined a little bit of something. And I still think there's room to grow and there's room to change, especially with Soul Fusion around the corner, the Blue Eyes, Legendary Duelist stuff that just came out, and a lot of other stuff. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. At number 10, we had Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes. Now, I could put a lot of decks right here. I could put Black Wings. Black Wings is also very cool support that just happened with it. Cyber Dragon is also in that same category, but whenever you have all these rogue decks running into each other at number 10, I try to pick at least, if not the best one, then one of the best ones, and I picked Blue Eyes. You can also put Cyber Dragons right here, but I thought Cyber Dragon was really, really strong, but the Blue Eyes stuff is what's gonna end up able to push it over the top. You know, obviously we got guys like Alan Nails. Shout out to Alan Nails. His YouTube is coming soon. Look out for it. Awesome guy, awesome person. You know that already. But now he's got his own YouTube coming, and we the Wise Guys stand behind him 100%. Good man, good friend, good guy all around. Next up at number 9, we had Mermail. We had Mermail at number 9 because of the ability to chain block, the ability to take you out in a turn, the ability to extra link you on the first turn. There's just so much versatility that you never really give credit to. Granted, it does struggle with a deck like True Draco. I still feel like it belongs somewhere in the top 10, somewhere. Whether you want to put it even in the top 10, that's up to you. From about 8 and down, it's kind of weird. But Mermail, for the ability to do all that, and being the best chain block deck, being able to rip so many cards out of your hand with Gumblar and with Moon Glacier, it's just a lot of stuff going on. Next up, we have Paleo. Paleo, because of, you know, the floodgate ability, there's a deck that just flat out does better at the same thing. So I really don't understand why somebody would play Paleo, but Paleo is still a problem because of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome being their boss monster per se. I think with the addition of a few power traps coming in the future, I know you guys have been keeping your eyes glued on Savage Strike. I feel like Paleo, if it's going to get slightly better, it's only going to get better however you outlook it. I still feel like Altergeist is just better. That's the deck I'm talking about. But I still feel like it's really, really good. At number 7, we have Mech Knight Invoked. Mech Knight Invoked, I let it slide back. I feel like it's an amazing deck, but the deck cannot, and I mean, if you play it 100 times, you're going to win 99 times. If you play against pure Sky Striker versus Mech Knight Sky Striker, Mech Knight Invoked with Sky Striker mixed into it, the deck's just not able to do much because a lot of these other decks in the meta are so defensive. You know, Draco's so defensive, Altergeist is so defensive, Pure Sky Striker is so defensive. All these decks have back row that you have to walk through, and the deck specializes in putting everything out on the table and going. And right now, that's just not that good. It's just not. You know, you can't just walk through everybody's back row. You know, there's obviously techs that can help it push, but for the time being, it's just not that great. That's why it underperformed. If you noticed, in every region, what did Mech Knight invoke? Even with Super Poly. Super Poly is nuts, but what did it do? See what I mean? Next up, we have Hero or Dark Warriors or Heroes. They're all kind of in the same category, whether you're playing Phantom Knights, whether you're just trying to combo off without normal summoning with the soul, they're just making warrior spam. I call it warrior spam. The deck is very, very good. The ability with Dark Law to play around hand traps, because you turn hand traps, most of the hand traps off, you know, like the Ghost Ogres and so on and so forth. Dark Heroes is pretty good. It's pretty good. It can play around hand traps. It doesn't have quite as high a ceiling, and there's some inconsistencies that run into each other. But for the time being, it's a very good deck. I think it's a deck that Jesse Cotton and a lot of Titan, shout out to Titan Esports, they did very well. They're sponsored by MetaMatch. They did very, very well. I think only one of them got a top 64 in Columbus, but I still feel like the deck is really, really good. You know, I play tested myself with a lot of my teammates beforehand, but I wasn't that confident in it until I saw it, you know, until some teammates saw it and reported it back to me, until I really play tested it to that level. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I think it's only going to get better. At number 5, we have Trick Stars. Trick Stars, nothing really changed. You know, you can mix Mech Knight ins, whatever variant you want to play. You can't quite do the Trick Star Sky Striker because it's not as consistent, but it's still pretty good. It's still a possibility. You know, with the Mech Knights mixed in there, I feel like Mech Knights can do better in this deck than just with Invoked, because I feel like Trick Star is working on doing something a consistent way on burning you down, and then Mech Knights or whatever can help knock you out. But the power of reincarnation by itself, it's just it didn't get touched on the list. You still have Firewall, so that's still there. You still have Droll, that's still there. Nothing really changed except for the unfairness that Sky Striker was adding to it. So it's an awesome deck, and that's why we have it in number 5. At number 4, we have True Draco. True Draco is True Draco. Nothing's really changed. I still don't have a problem with True Draco, really. I mean, I don't like Floodgates that much. I wish we had Harpy's Feather Duster, but nobody's tripping. I mean, if you play well, and you know what you're doing and how to play your deck, and you know your deck backwards and forwards, and you know how to handle Floodgates throughout your deck building, you're just good. You're good. True Draco is unfair, but it's also fair if you're prepared for it. I feel like it does better when you're not prepared for it, and everybody's prepared for it. That's why I didn't put it any higher than that. I still feel like Altergeist being number 3. Altergeist being number 3, I feel like True Draco is actually kind of better, and they kind of, you know, they're floodgates. If you try to floodgate someone with Altergeist, which we've learned over the weekend, there's better versions of Altergeist where they don't try to floodgate you. They just outrun you and keep floating you to death, which was a very, very interesting build. But with True Draco and Altergeist, I feel like they're interchangeable. Just like the top 2, those 2 are interchangeable. Altergeist, I say Altergeist is so high because the power level of Hextia, if you actually break down the numbers, I'm using YGO Scope for now, but I've seen other charts. Altergeist Hextia is the most powerful monster standalone in the game. Obviously, it doesn't stand alone, but every single time that the card drops, the winning percentage is 70%. If it's not above 70, it's right at 70%. And a 70% winning percentage when a card touches the field is just an impeccable, outstanding number. You know, that doesn't happen where a card just outright wins. Purple Nightfall is very high as well, but it's not as devastating as Hextia, because once Hextia is on the field and it's ahead of you, what can you really do? I don't recall. Try to ask yourself, have you ever won a game where Hextia was dropped and the Altergeist player was on a roll? Have you ever won that game? Because I haven't. And that's why I have it at number 3. It could be higher if the Goki player doesn't know what they're doing. But at number 2, we have Goki. Goki's for the simple fact that everybody knows how to play it. A lot of people know how to play around it. Sorry, I have a storefront behind. But Goki just knows how to push. If you looked at the second place deck, it knows how to push at the correct times. It knows how to play defense. And if you have a good player that knows how to combo off, it's not that hard to learn the Goki combo. If you have a good player that likes those kind of decks, it's a problem in their hands. With Nightmare Goblin being the difference now, being gone, people had to adjust, and there's still going to be more adjustments coming. But for now, I think Goki's number 2. You take away the Goblin, you replace it with Proxy Dragon. I recommend Honeybot. Don't tell anybody that. That's the secret spice. Yes, you can play it. You can mix a Ibly. It's 2 Cyburst monsters. You mix a Ibly and I think a Link Rebo. That's just something in my head. You know, it may work, it may not, but you may want to try that out. And then number one, we have pure Sky Strikers. Pure Sky Strikers. So, in rounding up the video, pure Sky Striker is pure Sky Striker. Its ceiling is nowhere near Goki's ceiling, but I treat pure, and this is a good friend of mine, and a lot of our teammates said this, and a good friend of mine as well. When you have a deck that's a lot like Fire Fist. Sky Striker is Fire Fist, whereas Goki is Mermails. And when you have one deck within the ceiling that can do this, and this, it's going to take that deck a while to catch up to the deck that just does the simple thing, which is what pure Sky Striker does. Beat you over the head with card advantage until you die. That's basically all the deck is doing. There are techs that you can add that add a knockout punch or a devastating blow to your opponent, but you don't even really need to do that. You just need to play defense and know how to interact and play skillfully and keep your resources to the proper extent that you need them, and use them when you have them. The deck got me my invite already. I can kind of relax and play some other stuff, but for the most part, that's how we saw the top 10. If you feel like I left something completely out, if you feel like there's an honorable mention outside of what I wanted to mention and Blackwings being outstanding, I've been testing the deck. If you have anything else, leave it down in the comments. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We have deck profiles. We have our OTS championship tomorrow. If I'm not announcing that, then I'll be playing in it with something like Cosmo, just for fun. I enjoy Cosmo, and I feel like it has a good matchup if you know how to build it, versus some top decks. And I'll try to leave one at the end of this video. There was somebody that actually did top with it overseas in Utrecht. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But for the time being, shout out to all my viewers. Shout out to our team's viewers on the DBS side, on the Yu-Gi-Oh side. We have Final Fantasy and Magic stuff coming, as well as video games. I can't wait to play Soul Calibur. As soon as I get done with this video and I get off work, I'm going home and I'm chilling out and playing Soul Calibur for the entire weekend. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And as always, YG baby, look out for KAIBA's YouTube page. Seriously, he's a good guy. Look it out. Look it up. I'll leave it in the comments.
Train inside the Budokan, fending off Shinobi and my crew, Obi Shotokan. Showing off with my Kama-san, conversate with Samurai while most was playing Pokemon. Ninja stars instead of fidget spinners in my open palm. Dragonfly, somebody must have told you wrong. Fight into my opus forms.